figured that one could have went on another hour easy. There's a lot of good stuff on that. All right, well, welcome everyone. So this is very impromptu. I got asked yesterday when they had that gap in the schedule to say, could you talk longer? And I said, well, I didn't get to a few things from my list from last time. And then I went over some other stuff I could have added. So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if it's enough to fill the hour, but it's okay because I really hope this is more of an open session of whatever stuff has been bothering you guys with programming, ATM, show production, whatever has been bothering you. Please be open. Let us know how we can shape this last show production session towards you, what you need. We got many other experienced showmakers. We got Kelly. I did think I see Linda in there. I see Todd. So we have more that we definitely have more experts in here than myself. So we'll definitely, and I know actually Kelly, Linda and I sat for lunch one, I think last year. And we talked about how there's a lot of different ways to approach show production. So just because it's my way of doing it definitely doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. But please let us know if you have any questions. Let me start this one the same way I did the last one, just mostly because I want to make sure I get this in, because once I get into the situation, I kind of forget what I'm doing, and I may sometimes don't get into things that I want to. So let me start by first saying, if you have any questions, if you want like a quick reference to just how to do some stuff, I got my YouTube tutorials. They are 6 years old, but most of them still hold tight, at least to give you the basics. Most likely with all the new features that have been added in 6 years, I'll probably start remaking these. But just YouTube channel, Jinx Planetarium. You can find a lot of quick little references there on just cool things to do and all the possibilities you can in ATM4 and such. So, well, let me start by just go ahead and open. Are there any pressing issues, problems, something that you're dying and I was like, how do I do this, or is it good to do this? Any quick pressing questions before I just go on to something that I think is cool to show you? And I promised myself I'd be better at looking at chat and the hand raising window.
Hey Dan, I'd be interested in kind of seeing or have you kind of review your approach to how you start making a show, just as a contrast to what Steve was talking about the other day.
Remind me how Steve, you mean the sub shows versus?
Well, he does his soundtrack first and he gets all his pieces together. And,
oh, that, yeah. Okay, that's, yeah, okay. I've heard Steve talked about that before. So yeah, Steve, you can chime in if you want.
No, that's what I do.
Yeah. No, Steve and I are on the same page on that one. But that's actually, that was interesting when when I sat with Kelly and Linda, they do it a little differently. But I am in Steve's camp in this one. I do prefer to get the soundtrack and the script done. So to me, the script goes first. And once the script is finished, I make a very rough soundtrack. To me, the soundtrack has to come first because that's when you know where and when you want your elements. Where do you want your images? Where do you want your videos? So to me, the soundtrack's gotta go first, in my opinion. Again, this is not the same as Kelly, not the same as Linda. They do it from their own direction, and that's fine. But to me, this is first. So this is just a sample one that I brought. I didn't have that many resources at my home computer, so I was looking for any resources possible. But this is a quick 15-minute show. This is my daughter. My daughter Faith is on the top line here. So this is her voice. And then this is the music down here. And this is just Audacity, free program. But this is first. Even if it's rough, the script's written, they read the script's still sort of a work in action. I still record them. One, because usually I'm working with high school actors, like my daughter was. She was a senior at the time. So they also prefer a practice run. So not only do I now have a nice soundtrack to work with to see what goes where, but they now have a practice run on the script. So when they come in and the script's edited and kind of synced up to where I want it to be, it runs so much better the second or third run through. So to me, I am very much for the soundtrack first, well, technically script first and then soundtrack second. That I very much am. But if I know Kelly and, yeah, why is that? Yeah. How easy is to bring in 3D files such as the one built from Blender? So Ben asked, how easy is it to bring 3D files in? It's quite easy. It's just like a slide. So let me go ahead and give you an example of that. I don't think I have anyone made from Blender in this one, but I do have a ton of videos in this one. Let me just go to the end, for example. I know, for example, the ball of yarn is a huge video. So the process of inserting them is going to be the same. And the key is it's a slide. All right. I'm on the right setting, right? You can read my screen? Yes.
We got you, Dan.
Cool. Thank you.
Did you need to update me on something?
Update you, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a video that occurs at the end of the show.
My computer.
I think Glenn does have an issue. There we go. So this is a video that is inserted in the show. So basically the same way, once you make a video into Blender, save it as the proper form, MP4 is preferred. MOV also works, but usually you want MP4. Then you insert it just like you would insert a slide. So you click here on the movie, you find the movie you want to insert. Say I want that Hex of North Pole. Great, click on it, hit open, and then you'll see that go in. And then you move it around the dome the same as you would a slide. How bright you want it, even if you want a color tint on it, which is weird. Where you want it, the size you want it, if you want it tilted or not rolled. It works exactly like a slide. And the Blender videos work the same as well. So once you take Blender videos and save them onto the MP4, simply insert them like a slide. And then the key is to remember to hit, as I did with the last lesson, in case you weren't here, once a video is to its end, but you don't want it to go away, make sure to use the pause function. This pause function makes sure that the video doesn't die. It pauses it so it stays up until you get rid of it, not the video runs out and it drops early or premature based on your narrative or your music or whatnot. So that's a good one. You can pause the video there. Don't use stop. That will kill the video. You'll lose the sight of it. So use pause. Good starts. I like it. Ben, does that answer the question? Does it help you? And Emma, go for it.
So I like the idea of being able
Okay.
to start with a soundtrack, but I also do shows where I am editing them and updating them, kind of like a live night sky tour, but I like bringing in elements that I've taken the time to work out and plan. So when I first finished it, I had a soundtrack, but I've done several additions into it, and my music is basically all messed up and I've given up on it. Do you have any tips for working in music after the fact?
So let me make sure I understand. You have a live portion, and then you go into a scripted portion.
Yes, kind of weaving in and out. So like some live, some scripted. I'm mixing them both together.
Okay, well that one, the pause function would work great for you there, and this also depends whether or not you want the background music going between. So if you have a scripted function first, and that's under music and narration, and that's great, and then it pauses. If it's silent and while you talk, I think that's the easiest, just because then you have nothing to worry about. But if you did want the music sort of to continue, then you probably need to do some things, and then when you hit spacebar to continue the show, it'll continue. So that depends on whether or not you wanted the music to continue, but otherwise it should be. I don't really have any hints other than the pause function. The pause function should allow you to do what you do. It'll pause. It'll wait for you to be done with whatever you need to do, and then the show continues. Leslie.
Okay, so you get your video, or not your video, your audio recorded. I'm actually going to try this. I got someone to record something during COVID. Now, do you cut it up in Audacity and then put in a lot of little clips? Or do you put just one whole clip, one whole audio clip from Audacity into ATM4 and then use the pause? Does that make sense?
The pause part confused me. So you're wondering, do I chapter up my soundtrack?
Yes.
Okay, the answer is absolutely yes. So here is my full show. This is not the soundtrack you were looking at, but this is, as you can see from here, this is a 25-minute show. I mean, I'm in the 24 minutes here. So this is the full show. And on the bottom, now I have them disabled down here only because I don't want you guys to be interrupted by the noise if I play one. But you can see I have a chapter 1 soundtrack. I'll enable so you can actually read them. All right, here's my chapter 2 and 3. And the only reason those are combined is because I couldn't find, between chapter 2 and 3, there wasn't a nice place for me to stop. It kind of bled into each other. So it's like, all right, I'll go with it. And I put 2 and 3 together, and then 4 and 5. The more, to me, the more chapters you can put in, the easier it is to function. I find it much easier if you just put it by chapter. So you can see here, I have play, I have flexibility on when does chapter 1 fade, which is here, versus when does chapter 2 physically start, which is here. So you have a little bit more play and flexibility when you put them as chapters.
Okay. And so that's helpful. Now within, let's say within chapter 2, do you have like a lot of pauses in there?
None.
No?
Not if it's a full dome show, not if it's just a show that's supposed to run from beginning to end.
Okay.
If I want a live, if I'm doing a live portion, if I'm doing what Dr. Bradstreet and Steve Sanders do with their live portions, and absolutely, I do have shows. Actually, here's one that this is a live show.
Yeah, no, not pauses on the control line, but pauses down in the audio line. I'm sorry.
Oh, audio line pauses. No, I don't have any of those.
Okay. Okay.
To
Yeah,
me-
no, I understand the pause up there. No need.
Okay,
Thank you.
you bet.
And did you have a question for me?
No.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
asked to
have it-
unmute
I
me.
saw that your message was private. I thought it was public, so I was going to address it.
Oh,
Yeah, that soundtrack was very familiar. Yes.
Dan, I've got a question. I was looking at the sequence of your cues at the end of chapter 1, and
Okay.
it looked like you were loading the soundtrack for chapter 2 and 3 before 1 was finished. I didn't think it could do that. I thought if it was playing a soundtrack, it couldn't actually load, but it
Okay.
can.
Yeah, if you put it on, I don't know if this even has it. Is it this one? Yeah, if you put it on this one. Okay, if you put it on a mixer track, it'll do exactly as you said. If you load something, it erases and forgets what it was loaded before and loads the new one. So you're absolutely right. However, if you put it on what's down here, the SA, it says multi-track audio. Let me move it to the center here. Multi-track audio. If you use that as your audio line, then you can load way early, have it ready in the memory, and then play when you want to.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
That's a huge difference, yeah, between the two. This one's more of the system. This one's just more of the tracks. Yeah, good. Definitely. Thank you for bringing that on. That's a good note. That's a good one to know.
So Dan, do you only use the multi-track then?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
I never even knew that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's way easier to use. You can actually use a fade. I don't think you actually have. Yeah, so you don't have fade on this one. Oh no, you do volume. There it is. Okay, so you do have a fade on this one. It's just way easier to use multi-track by far. Usually the only reason I would use these is at the beginning. You can see I told pre-flight to not mute, make sure it's on, and make sure its volume is wherever you want it to set. And then for the render box, I have that usually off, muted off. Well, mute's off, but mute's on usually for the render box. It's on for this show because I do have videos with volume.
Wait, so could you, I'm sorry, could you explain the difference between audio main, those
Yeah.
two, and then the multi?
Sure. So audio main pre-flight basically plays anything that's on your pre-flight computer. So this is usually where you store your sound. Your sound is usually on your pre-flight computer. And so that's why my pre-flight, so to think of this as the master volume control for all of pre-flight. So these 3 tracks play your stuff, but this is your master fader, if you will. And so you want your pre-flight definitely not muted. So mute is off, so it's on. And then you can set your volume for whatever your dome is, what you want for your dome. This, however, is then any sound coming from your render box. This is where your videos would lie. Because when you put videos into the dome, they're on render box video, video 7. So if your videos have audio, then you're going to need this on. Normally, that's not the case. Normally, I would dub the sound into the soundtrack. So this is usually muted. So that way, no extra sound happens to come into it. But for this case, for this show, I happen to have 2 videos that had sound that I wanted. And so that is so I have my render box actually turned on in this case. But that's the difference. If it's coming from pre-flight, which is usually where your soundtrack's coming from, that's pre-flight. Render box is if your videos have sound and you want it to play. I do have an example. I just have to find it if you want. Oh, and if this ever happens to you, the fact that my groups have lost their arrow, just simply minimize and re-maximize and they come back. It is a known bug and it is annoying. Not that chapter, where is it? Saturnian lightning, here it is. It's a feature, yep. Why isn't your dome seeing your render box? Why don't you? Okay, why isn't the dome seeing your render box? Oh, but isn't the dome seeing your render box? Okay, your dome sees the render box, but it doesn't hear it unless you let it. Why wouldn't you want all audio coming from your render box? Because that's not where your sound files are. So as I explained, this is Kathy's question in the chat. The render box is the render box are where your videos lie. So if your videos have sound, you want it on. Otherwise, you want that off because it's just annoying. Questions? Good stuff so far. I like it. All right. Well, then I'm going to jump to just something on my list to show you that's pretty cool, I think. And if it sparks other ideas and questions, let them fly, folks. Keep those mics open and just let me know what you think.
Hi, I actually have a question. I was watching on the YouTube just a minute ago. So I don't know if this was covered. Have you ever had the experience where you have a movie slide and then when you do a slide kill, it makes the movie slide appear again?
Yes.
Do you know what that is and
Yes.
how to stop it?
So what that means is you probably killed the slide. And then after that, probably put a fade of some sort on it. You somehow accessed the video again. And so it immediately has to turn on for a second. So that usually what that means is that the kill is in the wrong position. Does that make sense?
Well,
something's referring back to that slide, that movie.
Yeah, I feel like it's happened when the movie reaches its natural end and then you put the slide kill. That's my working.
Yeah, agreed. Because
Okay.
if you let, I see, now I see what you're asking. Yeah, so if you let the video naturally kill, to the computer, that video is still running. It's ATM4, like, yeah, here, let's find a random, this is not a video, but let's pretend that's a video. So if that's a video, and let's say it ends here, before you actually kill it, to ATM4, that video is active. It doesn't really know how long your video is. So the video goes, it dies because of duration. And then you're telling ATM4 now, I need to kill that slide. ATM4 goes, oh, that slide's not working. Let me restart it. Oh, now I got to kill it. And so it does that little blip. Good question. Yes. So
that's pretty much always going to happen in that scenario. Because like
pause because because you'll notice most of my videos, I don't like to kill. I like to fade, then kill. So my recommendation is before the end of the video, get a pause command in here. Where's my play? There it is. Get a pause command in there. So that way the video pauses, then put a fade. As you know, just like any slide, this is, I'm sure you know this one, but fade it out to 0. fade that out, then kill it. And then even if it does want to visually glitch, nobody's going to see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I guess what I've been trying to do is do a slide kill that like takes 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 seconds.
I
But
don't like fading with slide kills.
Okay.
I find them too, especially with video, I find them too unreliable. So to me, I like to kill the slide using a slide command. It's cleaner and I think more control. Because sometimes I won't even want an effect on the fade. Maybe I want it to both fade and twist out type thing. I mean, so you got more control with it. So I always fade my slides first and then kill after. You can see an example right here, for example. Okay, and that's Saturn lightning. Oh, this is the video I was looking for. So this is when Saturn's lightning starts. This is when it fades and then it dies. So I fade it before it ever gets killed.
Okay, so I have that problem all the time, Mary. So, so on that slide kill or that slide, right before the slide kill, yes.
Yep.
Could you open that?
Yep, it's zero.
Okay,
Fading
so that's your fade.
That's my
So,
fade.
and then you do a kill. So just use those 2 commands.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome, thank you.
I always fade stuff before killing it because I don't like the exact effect you guys are talking about. I don't like that blip that occurs when it tries to kill it. Absolutely. Big recommendation just to make your stuff look pretty. I like pretty.
I think I see what you're saying because then like even if there was some kind of return of the video, it's faded down so you wouldn't see anything.
Correct.
I don't think Spitz knows that because I've had Eric and a couple other people try to fix it and I could never get it fixed. So I kept on putting kill and then a couple lines of the slide and then kill again, but it still would pop up. So thank you.
You bet, you bet. And going with Kathy's question and an example, and thank you, Dave and Kelly, for jumping on the answer because it is correct. So a lot of people say they don't mess with the RenderBox audio and they just keep it on. I will admit, if my show has 0 videos that have sound in them, it's on. Because I also don't want the problem of somebody later running a show and they need the RenderBox video on, which also leads me to remind everybody at the end of all shows, make sure to put your mute back on. Oh, actually it's on already, so it doesn't matter. But if you happen to turn it off, make sure you turn it on at the end of your shows. But let me go back to that example I was going to show here. So I have to do, let's see, if I remember correctly, because I learned last time, I have to change my settings. So this is going to make everything look bad in detail, but now my screen, my RenderBox screen should look good-ish. I mean, how good can it look on this format? All right, so this is an example of a video that does make sound. Where is it? There it is.
Of Saturnian lightning.
And did you hear that?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Heard it.
Good. So in that case, I wanted that video, I wanted that Saturn lightning video because I didn't want to take it out of there and then have to line it into the soundtrack because that would have been annoying because those lightnings are timed pretty well with the flashes as they should be. So I didn't want to take that out. And so I left RenderBox on in this show so that video would play. However, you will notice, and I'm pretty sure I did it one time earlier. I probably, yep, there it is. I muted, let me get this. Oh, sorry, I got to get out of video mode. There we go. Okay, so then you'll notice earlier in the show, oh, come on. There it is. I muted, oh, that's turning it off. Where did I turn it on? There it is. Okay, so here in the show, I turn mute on RenderBox. I'm assuming I've done that because there's a video up above that has a soundtrack I don't want to play. So I muted RenderBox so that video plays, but I don't hear it. And then I turn the mute back on for the lightning one. So that's what RenderBox does, mutes or unmutes your videos.
Dan, if you mute, let's say you forget to unmute the render box, will that
all
cause-
your full dome shows will not
That's
have
what-
volume.
I think I've done that before.
Yeah, it's because so if you go to play Passport to the Universe, Tom Hanks will not be heard. Yeah, you got to make sure at the end you're always end with mute off. Otherwise, you're going to mess up the next show you do if it happens to need the render box.
And also make sure you run your show all the way to the end so it actually hits that cue.
Yep. Another one, just for those that are new to this is your bread and butter. This better be at the end of every ATM show you make. If you do plan, well, I just do it anyway. It doesn't matter if you plan on sharing your show or not. But this command at the end, this is reset preferences, because that's what that stands for. This PFNS. I'm sure, why not? But it basically stands for restore preferences. And what this does is, let's say throughout the show, my show needed to change the focus of interest and change the speed of a zoom and change the rotation, the rotational speed or the flying speed I wanted to a planet. Well, the problem is that's changing it in the system. And so if you don't put that thing in there at the end of the show, all those settings are the same as the end of the show. And so let's say you run a different show and all of a sudden you zoom to Mars way too fast. Well, that's because your zoom command from the shows made that speed faster. And so you do this restore preferences, and then it goes, okay, where were you before the show? And it sets those settings back to where you want. This is huge. Make sure to always put that at the end of your shows. Kathy.
So just to verify, the restore prefs is for Starry Night only, though. That's not going to turn your RenderBox audio back on, right?
Correct. Yep. That needs to be manually done. You can always check that with F5. You can check. And I mean, this, if I was in the dome, this would show your audio too. But. Okay, cool. Emma.
So this might be like a little whatever.
Hit it.
Do you have a like, can you give us like a list of like all the settings you always set at the beginning of your show and all the settings you always set at the end of your show?
That is a beautiful question. That's fantastic. All right. So at the beginning of all shows, this is probably first and foremost, is I always put a focus of interest in. Because again, I'm one that shares a lot of my shows. So my shows are not just for me. And so if it was just for me, or if you never plan on sharing, then this isn't as important. But for me, focus of interest goes first. So this is where I want things centered on the dome. And so it's already set at the beginning of the show. I don't have to worry about it after that. Okay, so that goes first. I usually always include a kill all. So you'll see here, all slides are killed. That way, if I happen to start running the show and I was doing a lot before the show, maybe during my pre-show, I put a bunch of slides up. It says, okay, let me kill all of that. And it kind of resets the table. So to just clear the table off. Now the show I know is clean of any slides that I've had before. This is typical. I usually put a blank slide in the front, a black scene, so that way it comes up black and you're not seeing anything. This also, again, if I'm in the middle of a pre-show and I was showing Mars, that'll go away. So these first three, to me, are pretty standard. A black scene, focus of interest, and kill all slides. That's pretty standard. I do also standard on unmuting both tracks and making sure the volume is set right. So in the pre-flight, for my dome, where I want my faders, 70% is the volume I prefer. Maybe you need it higher or lower, go to town, do what you want. Render box, I usually leave at 100%. But either way, they're both unmuted. So now at the beginning of the show, I know I won't have that problem of, oh, that last show turned off render box and I need it. But now it's turned on. I know it will be. And then finally, of course, your first soundtrack, whatever your first chapter is. That's for me, this is standard opening. That's a very good one. And then for the ending, really preferences. And then I guess these, I mean, I guess I really should probably have these again, to be honest. I'm going to go ahead and fix that problem right now. Bam. All right. You should probably have restore preferences and then unmute both lines again, just to double check, make sure they're both on. So when you get to the end of the show, you're ready to go. So yeah, restore preferences is always there at the end, and then the two unmutes. Good question. Kathy.
How long are you usually allowing for loading your videos before you want them to play? What if you found that you need?
Yeah, it's a good question. The longer the video, the longer the preload, for sure. For example, here at the end here, I know at the end I have a really long one. Where's the ball of yarn? There it is. Okay. I think this is where it's loading. Yeah. So in this case, this is where the video started, but you'll notice it's loaded at 0. So nobody sees it load, and it doesn't actually get visible for another 10 seconds. And this is a big video. If you've never seen the ball of yarn video, it is pretty darn gorgeous. I'll go ahead and show it real quick. So I'm switching to bad view for detail, but I'll go ahead and show this video. It is. Sorry, let me turn off the sound. Okay. Okay, so 10 seconds ago it started, and now it's visible. All right, so this is what's running during the credits of my Cassini show. It's called The Ball of Yarn. You can get it from JPL. But basically, this whole thing is the tracing of the whole track of Cassini. And it's when as soon as it arrived at Saturn all the way until it plummeted in. It's just a gorgeous, and of course, it looks way better on the dome.
Right, and is that a flat video or is it a full dome video? What is
that's a flat video? Just keystone in front.
So that's at HD resolution.
Yep. Again, you can just get them from JPL, and it's a gorgeous ending. And you saw our credits were next to it, so it just gave a nice ending for the ending of the show. And you see here's a play. So I'm going to pause it here. Bam. Because again, I don't want it to die itself. I want to control when it dies. So right there, I guess you can't see the detail now. Let me switch over. There we go.
It's actually not bad, Dan.
Huh?
It actually didn't look bad.
Oh, it didn't look bad. Yay.
I think you have better internet today.
Yay. Well, my daughter and wife are both shopping, so they're not using up the bandwidth.
Hey, Dan.
My daughter's taking college courses online, so she's been eating up some bandwidth. Yes.
Sorry about that. So you load a movie without any color, so it doesn't show, correct?
Correct.
But wouldn't that already start playing the movie, whether you have what?
Yes. In order to me, and I only did it for this instance. I want this on. Hold on. There we go. I wanted the movie. I wanted this ball of yarn to end. The last piece of yarn being drawn. I wanted that to end right as the last crescendo of music was happening. So in order to time that, I said I need to start the video here so it ended. So the last yarn drawn thing is here. So in this case, you're absolutely right. I set the video going long before they actually saw it, which worked in my case in this case. So that way it preloaded as well. But if you don't want that to happen, what you want to do is tell it to start, put a pause command in here, and then just butt it up right against it.
Okay.
I've had some problems with the pause not always working when you do that. Has anybody else had problems with that?
I have. I've had.
Did you copy and paste?
No.
Because if you did, that doesn't work. I can't copy and paste this play down here and expect it to work. You have to create a unique pause or play for each video you have.
Yeah, I've done that. I've still had some problems. And
Okay.
You say you have as well?
Yes, and I think mine's just because I had a lot of like little blips here and there, and I think it's because my machine was so old.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours
Have
was
you
pretty
been-
old too.
Kathy, have you been putting those pause cues right up when they're loading?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying, otherwise
Yeah.
it starts playing.
On the
and-
older systems, that gap needs to be wider than it can be on the newer systems, because my
Okay, I'll try
my
it.
system also just throws away cues if they're too close. It goes, nope,
That
not
would-
doing that.
That would make sense because the video hasn't finished loading before you want to pause it. So if the
Right,
system
but-
doesn't have the video up, then it's nothing
Yeah.
to pause. It won't work. That doesn't.
That's a problem though. If you've got video with live audio, you don't want it to start playing and then pause
Agreed.
it.
Agreed. But that is why I prefer always have a second lead. So that's why yesterday or 2 days ago when I did my lesson on making videos like text, I have a second before the video starts. That gives you that time to pause before anything occurs. So I like the leeway. So any video that you happen to be able to do that with, the better, to give yourself some leeway in front. Leslie.
No, that was it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was it. Lowering your hand then.
Sorry. I'll unmute it.
Jeez. All right. There's no questions at the moment. I do have one very sexy thing I did with the videos in this one. I just think it'll also lead to really cool questions. But this is not that one. I don't think it's that one. I think it's over here. I did this slide demo. Oh, well, I'll talk about that one next. That one's cool too. Where is cube capture example in case we needed one? There it is. Saturn. Okay. This, I was not gonna lie, I was kind of like patting myself on the back after this because I thought this looked extremely cool when I just came up with this this idea. I think I used it once before. I forgot I've done it, and then I did it again for this show, and I thought it was amazing. So first thing we're gonna do is show you what I mean. All right, so I'm gonna switch to my horrible view for details, but back to this. All right, and let's run this right here. All right, so I'm just going to show it to you. So now for those of you who have taken the beginners class and such, you'll notice that I have the planet rotating and I have the stars moving in the background and I happen to be changing from below to above Saturn. And Saturn is not centered in the dome. It's not centered in my view. So this is a very unique, cool thing you can do with your camera if you know how to do it. It's not that hard. It's a little, maybe somebody's figured out how it's done. But you'll notice if you do rotate with, then only the stars move. If you do hover as Saturn rotates, then only Saturn will rotate, but the stars won't move. But I have both happening. I have both Saturn rotating and the stars moving, and I'm changing from below to above, and it's not centered, it's off center. Anybody want to guess how I did that? Because it was really fun to do.
Ecliptic orientation and star balls.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Anybody else want to try to take a guess? Because it's pretty cool and it's really easy. Which is why I wanted to share it. It's a really sexy way, very easy, sexy way to just produce that. I mean, that's a really cool view because everything is moving. All right. All right. So let me now switch to, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. I got to share again. How do I do this? Screen share. Okay. So I wanted to switch off the high definition mode. Turn this off here. All right. So in order to show this, let me bring up my Starry Night screen. This is easily one of my favorite effects that we used when I thought it just looked it looked good. Let me get this scene. This is sorry. Okay. So the scene that's loaded is that one. Okay, so this is the scene that allows me to do what? That doesn't look right. That doesn't look right at all. No, that's the right scene. Oh, it doesn't look very good on the pre-flight, that's for sure. All right. the key here is I want to click on my location bar, and I want you to, this will pretty much give you the answer. Put your camera at a moon of Saturn, and at the same time, hide that moon. So you'll notice this moon is, if I, oh, the whole thing is doing it again. There we go. That's a bug or a feature, as you guys know, that sometimes you have to reload it in. Okay, so you'll notice I am at a moon that I've hidden. So I think I'm at this moon right here, but this moon's hidden. So if you put the camera, so if you put yourself on the moon, make yourself face Saturn, and then follow the moon in orbit, you can get these really cool views of the planet, and the planet's still turning, the stars are still moving, and if you pick the correct moon's path and pick one that has like a nice tilt off the rings, the rings path, then you get this nice from below to above look. Really slick, super easy. Just put yourself on the moon.
So when you say put yourself on the moon, how do you physically put yourself on the moon?
I just said, go to.
Okay, so is it go there?
Yeah, just go there. And so now I'm at this moon, but you can't see the moon because I have it turned off.
Right.
So I turn off the moon, now it's invisible, but now my camera's there. And so now let me turn time off. So now from this moon, I rotate it. I try to find Saturn. What the heck? I can't find, there it is. All right, so there's Saturn now. And then run it forward. And now you get this cool view, a unique view from the moon. All right, so choosing moons that are tidally locked with the planet helps a lot.
I think you were actually on Iapetus.
Was I? I forgot which one I was on.
Yeah, you're on
This one?
Not
Oh, that would make more sense. That's tidally locked.
You're in the rings right now.
All right,
cool.
so there's that moon. There it is. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, I'm further away. That works. Yeah, that's way sexier. All right, so you can see I'm here, and maybe I'll back it up a little bit because it's irrelevant. But it just gives me a new position to go from. So now, yes, the moon's in my way, but I'm like, nah, just hide the moon. And now as the camera travels, I'm traveling with the moon. So you can see stars are moving, Saturn's rotating, rings are going. Just beautiful effect. And all it is basically following a moon that's not visible. So really clever way of getting your camera to do. How do you hide the moon? So when you go to the planet menu, this first square, at least for me, if it's not, you have to come up here and add hide. So you can add what check marks you have. But for me, this first one is hide. So if you hover my mouse over one of these, I think it should, no, it doesn't anyway. It's supposed to say hide. But anyway, this first box for me is hide. This one's orbit. And I believe this one is the trail. All right. So right here is hide for me. If you don't have a hide box, then get up here, right click, and give yourself a hide box. But yeah, very cool, easy way to really get that beautiful look around the planet. It should spawn a little tooltip, but I think game systems. Oh yeah, that's why. Yeah,
that's why your labels aren't coming up because you were running time and all kinds of stuff was happening.
Yeah, I'm like sitting here hovering. It should show up, but anyway.
Or maybe it's a new feature in Preview Suite.
I don't know. Who knows? Todd asked me privately that you could create an artificial moon around a planet and probably do the same, and that is correct. Artificial stuff has not been working well for me, so I tend not to do that. Yay! Thank you, Doctor. I thought it was pretty sexy. I think it's a nice, just a simple way to give you a beautiful move around the planet moon. So if you just find the right moon that has the right, right tilt off the ring, so you can get below to above or above to below, play it and just let you go for the ride. You can do a lot of creative stuff when you know how to manipulate the moon. So that's one. Let's see. Let me just see if any more questions. Oh, I only got like 2 minutes left anyway. So questions? I mean, I have other things that could just thing, but I'm glad you guys.
Things.
Say again?
Quick, other things.
Yes.
Like
quick.
this. Give us
Many things. But I guess so. It's just so those that are new to the planetarium and stuff are, feel free. I like to think I'm a pretty nice guy. If you have questions after Institute, email me, call me. Many others. I mean, I talked to Linda just last week, and we were creating stuff. So I'm very open to share my stuff and to share my and to get everything looking cool in your shows. So
I owe you a week of dinners.
But yeah, I love talking about this stuff. I love making everything look pretty as well as educational. So just feel free to contact me at any time, email, phone, whatever. But with that, I think we be done. And I think it's lunchtime.
Thank you, Dan. This is awesome.
You bet. I'll stick around if anybody wants some questions, like privately or whatever, around their own. But thanks for coming. Thanks for the questions.